Hi, everyone. My name is Matt, and I will give you a speech, an essay that I worked on. It's called What Do I Have to Offer? What do I have to offer? It is hard to figure out what do I have to offer because the world is confusing for me with an autism spectrum with a learning disability and trying to navigate the challenges. The world is broken. It is filled where people use bigotry or hate or different forms of mean things where it hits me hard. When I was young, I did teaching time with a speech therapist where she worked with me on developing speech, including short sentences, understanding emotions, including other behavioral treatments, and doing some reading. Even though it was a struggle to do teaching time, I was very appreciative on how my speech therapist had made a difference for me. As I started to get older, I started to notice the world has changed too fast. People's personalities were harder to understand. Bigotry, including hate against people with disabilities like me, have increased even more. The bullying, including harassments, never stopped, and too many people aren't appreciative of kind things. I remember in my teaching times, my speech therapist had told me and taught me that being kind to other people is important in life. Being a good listener to people who have a hard time. Having compassion is important, and using critical thinking to learn or to expand on knowledge are great things in life. Friendships are never easy. I started to notice a change of many of my friends, including new ones who I have met, haven't been appreciative of me. What I meant to say is that they aren't appreciative of me is when I try my best to be a good friend, like be a good listener to them when they struggle or simply just want to have a good conversation. Sending good thoughts, including positive vibes to them who make good achievements or who are creative, and even if they're struggling in life, and many others. It is hard because many times some of my friends tell me that I am not perfect for other people, that I don't deserve to have a friend because I have a disability, or that I struggle on trying to meet their standards. And many of them tell me to shut up if I want to have time to talk a little bit about myself. When it comes to trying to talk about myself, I try to be creative as possible to explain myself as a human being who is struggling while trying to understand the world, sharing some of my favorite hobbies, like doing writing, or even talking about a favorite TV show or movie that I watch, and other subjects too. Also, I do the best as I can to try to process information on what other people say, but sometimes in my mind, I struggle to organize my thoughts. I'm trying to comprehend on what people say, or even trying to figure out how I can best communicate my thoughts efficiently. It's tricky. When many of my friends tease me or put me down or even tell me to shut up, when I'm simply am just trying to have a moment of me talking a little bit about myself, I feel hurt inside or for trying to be a good friend. I feel ashamed of myself. What is wrong with me? What do I have to offer to people if I want to have friends or if I really have friends? I try my best to give them a good insight where it is honest but not hurtful or aggressive. For example, I'm sorry if you don't think I'm a perfect person or a perfect friend, but I try my best to always think of good thoughts, including positive vibes, to you when you have difficult times or when you have made achievements. Another phrase I would say is when you say mean things or hurtful things, it hurts my feelings as a person. Many times they don't want to listen to that. They even get meaner at me or even put me down. They also do this type of mean behavior at me, even on social media platforms, or even simply in my face on how they are better than me, where they get many more likes, or even if they get more comments, or even if they have many followers, or including friends. They tell me that they are better than me and that I am not a perfect person. There are times when many of my friends make mean jokes or say hurtful things, like it would be funny if I took my own life and the world would be a happy if Matt didn't exist. Sometimes they say this on social media, through messages, or even in person in front of my face, or even in gossip too. I have to try to hold my tears down because I don't want to be an angry person. I feel sadness in myself. Sometimes, if I show emotions like I want to cry or where I feel sad, that people don't want to be appreciative of me for trying to be kind to other people or simply just being a good friend, people will make fun of me for crying and make insults. When I try to use social media platforms, I try to think to myself about what type of person do I really want to be on social media platforms. I find it's a challenge. I try my best to be a good friend to people on social media or to be kind to people on these platforms, like the same thing that I have mentioned in this passage. Being kind to other people, being compassionate for people who struggle, sending good thoughts, including positive vibes, to people who are creative or who are struggling or who are just simply just trying to make good achievements. I try my best as I could to lead this example, but it is never easy. It gets rejected by many people that I'm connected with on these platforms. In the food service industry, it's always a challenge to navigate it. It's a fast paced environment. Other coworkers have different personalities, and sometimes it is hard to do okay. In this job setting, there are some coworkers make fun of me for struggling in a fast-paced environment. I'm simply just trying to be a helpful person who wants to do tasks efficiently if I can't do everything. Sometimes in this work environment, I deal with the harshness of people calling me names or even saying mean jokes about me. I cannot react in a way because I don't want to start a conflict. I don't want to be provoked, and I don't want to make my job harder when it gets busy. I keep my head down, and I try to continue to work even if I can't get everything done. In these situations, when it happens, I just try to focus on doing the task with critical thinking, including creativity, ways to work on doing tasks. Or when it's just slow, just try to figure out how to do some tasks to prepare before a rush. And respect other co-workers who I work with to make sure that we work as a team so we can get the job done. For what I've learned from teaching time about being compassionate for people who struggle, including to be understanding of people, I volunteer. Volunteering is never an easy thing because I do struggle on understanding how to perform certain tasks or how to understand people's reaction or their personalities in a situation when I help feed homeless people. I help feed homeless people, including people who are low income, to provide them with grocery bags filled with canned goods or other essential items. It can be hard sometimes doing this because some volunteers get mad at me when I can't do everything or when I struggle on figuring how to understand the situation or if other homeless people, including people who are poor, are happy about the food running out so fast. Sometimes, any situation I deal with, some people who are homeless or who are poor, where they get mean at me or they spit at me because they are upset that they couldn't get every food that they wanted or what they needed. But we simply just didn't have enough food to provide for everyone. I have to think to myself about what do I have to offer to help people who are poor or low income. All I have to do is to tell myself that it is never not easy helping everybody in need. The best thing that I can do is use critical thinking to my advantage to understand how to provide food to certain people without having to worry about people being upset. For example, I always try to see how many grocery bags we have before the volunteering starts. I try to pay attention to see how many people are waiting in line for the food. If I think if they want seconds, I try to tell them to wait 10 to 15 minutes, and then I can provide you with a second bag. If the food runs out fast, where it is hard to feed everybody who is waiting, I try my best to reassure them that we will come every week and to give them always thinking of good thoughts, including positive vibes. I'm not really good or great at having a friendship or even a connection with a girl because I get teased and bullied by them. They make fun of me about struggling with my disability or struggling on social cues or even if I can't meet their standards. When it comes to girls, I try my best to be respectful as possible. I try to see them as people instead of just being a woman or a girl. I think of good thoughts, including positive vibes for them when they struggle or make good achievements, and I try my hardest to be a good listener to them. These type of principles that I've worked on and continued on, it is never easy. It gets rejected by girls, including women, and they make fun of me even more when I try to do these things. One thing that is hard is to make inappropriate jokes about wishing that I wasn't alive, how I don't deserve to have a connection with a girl, even if it isn't romantic, and sometimes getting spit at in the face. I feel sadness when I deal with this type of aggressive and meanness from girls, including women, or even if they don't appreciate me for simply just trying my best to be supportive of them when they have hard times, when they're just trying to make good achievements, or simply just trying to navigate life. I wish that someday I could simply just have a short connection with a girl, even if it isn't romantic, maybe meet a girl who is influential or someone who is very inspiring to me. And I think that I hope that someday that a girl can recognize me for simply just trying to be a human being, even if I have flaws or if I struggle with social cues or if I'm not perfect like they want me to be or if I'm not perfect like other guys. It's never easy writing letters to a bunch of influential people or politicians to try to advocate for people with disability rights or to even share my story of my struggles with it, or if I want to recognize their work because it gets ignored sometimes. I sometimes get mean responses, which is much meaner, or how people use anti disability stigma to make me feel bad for simply just trying to have a voice for the need for better rights for people with disabilities like mine, or even to share my concerns about the world that we live in, or even if I want to see how good work, is inspiring. I know I made mistakes in my life with my autism spectrum. Sometimes it is hard for me to understand how to react to people, how to understand my emotions better, how to understand different social cues that people present, or how to understand the personalities that they present, and how to figure out how to communicate my thoughts in different settings, including on social media platforms. I try my best as I can to learn from my mistakes to be a better person. Try to work on the skills that I've learned from teaching time to help me continue to grow and to do the best as I can to be a human being who wants to do good things. Take the time to volunteer to help people who are in need. And try to be creative as possible while I use critical thinking to an advantage. I have to sit down every day or even lie in my bed before I take a nap, including before I go to sleep, to always think about what do I have to offer. It is not easy to think of this because it breaks my heart seeing how the world is broken. People are more interested in bigotry or hate against people who are different including people with disabilities like me. I really don't have many friends or people that could be appreciative of me for trying my best to be a human being when I struggle with my disability or when I can't understand how to understand the world better, where people get more meaner. I have to tell myself that all I can simply do is try to be a decent person. If I make mistakes or that I'm not perfect, I have to remind myself that everybody makes mistakes, but I have to continue to think along with even organize my thoughts to an advantage. Also, what I can do is to think of what do I have to offer in a world where it is difficult. I want to offer is kindness, compassion, understanding, and many others. I want to think of what I can offer to the people who I care about or who I am inspired by. Is that I want to think of good thoughts, including positive vibes, for them to do well in life when they face challenges or when they make some achievements. On social media platforms, all I can offer is simply to be a human being who wants to see kindness, compassion, but also try my best as I can to do the same thing as the previous sentence that I had mentioned. When it comes to volunteering, my offer is to help the poor and disadvantaged or the disabled to get food or grocery bags filled with essential items when they can't get help from other people or from other soup kitchens or from the government. When it comes to writing letters to influential people that inspire me, all I can offer them is a praise them for their continuous work for wanting to make the world a better place on social justice, environmental protection, disability rights, criminal justice reform, civil rights, and healthcare reform, and to tell them that they inspire me back, along with wanting to help give me a voice when there aren't too many people who can be advocates or supporters of my rights, including people with disability rights. Again, what do I have to offer? I know I say this question too many times because I try my hardest to figure out what is the best answer to understand in these difficult times in the past, including currently, and even when people are even meaner at me. It is hard to find a real honest answer. The best thing that I can do is to have a temporary solutions. Try to be careful on how I do it with creativity, including critical thinking, and try to find ways to balance my emotions better. I want to also say, as myself with a disability, I really want people to be understanding of me as a person who wants to see good and try to do the best as I can to work hard at being creative while using critical thinking and to try my best to be understanding myself in different situations. I want to encourage many people, including our elected officials, or celebrities, or people in general, or social media influencers, to be kinder and appreciative of people with disabilities, where they struggle in life, or when they can't have a voice, or when they simply just trying to navigate in a society where there is anti disability stigma. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me.